Well, hello there. Tell me, what do you guys see other than my big head in front of you? How about you look closer? Like maybe right into my eyes? Which in this case is kind of related to the creatures that we are going to be talking about today. Which, yeah, didn't realize I forgot not to undraw that. Anyways, let me scoot back real quick. Let's see. Give me a second. Okay, we're gonna go here. Gonna go. There we go. Anyways, greetings, creatures and humans alike. I am MagiQDog, and tonight, on this Creature of the Week stream, we shall be learning about the Basilisk. Um, a terrifying type of creature, isn't it? Anyways, let's go on ahead and get this started, shall we? So, without further ado, the Basilisk is a deadly and powerful type of creatures told in European mythology, including Greek, medieval, and even in the Bible. The basilisk is described as a mix of a rooster and a snake. Sometimes they are told as looking like a rooster with a snake tail. In Greek, it was described more like a snake with a right rooster crown spot that was less than 2 feet long but was still terrifying. In medieval times, it became more similar to the cockatrice, a type of cousin of the basilisk. This is where it appeared more like a rooster, snake, or even dragon, as they might have dragon like wings. In the Middle Ages, another basilisk form appeared that's very different from the others. This basilisk has a rooster head, a lizard body with a serpentine tail, and 8 legs. This type of basilisk is considered a medieval basilisk, and one that inspired more modern basilisks that I'll mention later on. And by the way, they're also always male. So, yeah. Anyways, in mythologies, the basilisks are feared creatures as being one of the most deadliest ones to encounter. This is because they are highly feminist. Uh, venomous. Sorry, I sound like a feminist. Anyways, not getting into that type of topic. Uh, they have the most famous ability of having a deadly gaze that when pretty much when you meet their eyes, it is enough to kill a person. Others includes being so feminist that even its breath can wilter crops and break stones in half. Its hisses can also cause death by poison, and any watering hole that is drank from a basilisk becomes polluted for centuries as well. There is even an account that shows that killing one with a close range melee weapon will prove fatal, as the poison will travel up the weapon and kill the user and whoever is in contact with the user. This account is actually told by the Roman author Pliny the Elder that speaks that if a horseman were to run his spear into a basilisk, the poison would swiftly travel up the spear and kill both the man and the horse he rides on. This is what truly makes a basilisk a fierce creature. The basilisk also has a title as the king of the serpents. They can rouse up any snakes by its hisses, whether it be by respect or fear. But the serpent kings are more than just that, for the basilisk is used as a symbol of fear, death, and evil, but also used as a symbol of power and authority. Within Christianity, the basilisk is used as a symbol related to demons and serpents, and in murals will often have the knight slaying it, showing how good can triumph over evil. In medieval times, it appears on uh, heraldries and coats of arms as a psychological deterrent. After all, who wants to attack a symbol that could kill you? And in alchemy, it plays a double war. Double war? I meant to say a double uh role. Anyways, one is the destructive force of fire, and two as a immortalizing conic of the philosopher's stone. But yeah. Anyways, as I mentioned before how a basilisk is capable of killing with its venoms, but they also have other abilities and powers they can use as well. Of course, their main powers includes the deadly gaze that can kill a person upon eye contact, which this is what makes the Basilisk really famous for. But they also has a but they also have a deadly venom that can make either through their breath, blood, or even mere presence capable of withering plants, splitting rocks, and polluting waters. But they also got dragon based powers as well, believe it or not. Just like the dragons, they are capable of breathing fire from their mouths, and they can fly using their wings, whether their wings are more bird like or dragon like. They are also described as being fierce predators capable of hunting and killing with ease. And of course, being part rooster and snake, they gain abilities from those animals as well. Now, I know what all y'all are thinking. How can anyone defend from such a mighty creature? Well, luckily for you, basilisks do have some weaknesses that one can use against. And one that is rarely enough is that they can I mean, sorry. Uh, and one that is rarely enough is that they can die if they hear the crowing of a rooster. Yep, you heard that right. And apparently, roosters are also immune to the basilisk poisons as well. Now, another method is the weasels. So apparently, weasels and myths are another creature that is immune to the basilisk gaze and poisons, and are the basilisk's natural enemies, resulting in fights to the death. And a more obvious method is using a mirror. A basilisk using a death glaze and seeing its own reflection will kill the basilisk instead. In fact, Alexander the Great had a run in with a basilisk, so he used either a mirror or a shield that reflects like a mirror and used it against the beast. The basilisk saw its own reflection and died instead. By the way, it turns out that there are quite a record of Alexander being a creature hunter in his times. So, who knew? Anyways, as I mentioned before, basilisks are always male. So, how do they reproduce? Well, the answer to that is a bit complicated. For you see, a basilisk can only be born when an egg is laid by a snake or toad and is then incubated by the rooster. This incubation process results in a baby basilisk which will grow up into the mighty beast that they are. This process of incubation is also similar to the basilisk cousin, the cockatrice, but the methods are reversed. Instead of the snake laying the egg and the chicken incubating it, the cockatrice is born whenever a hen lays an egg and is incubated by the snake or toad or in the snake nest. So yeah, that's pretty much the whole process of the incubation process. Now, speaking of his cousins, Basilisk got a multitude of cousins that are related to it, which includes the cockatrice. The cockatrice is basically like a basilisk, but there are a few key differences. One of these is the incubation process, like I mentioned before. And the second is that while the basilisk is more serpentine like, even in their rooster hybrid appearance, cockatrices are an actual hybrid mix of rooster and snakes, as they have the rooster head, wings, and legs, and the serpent body and tail. However, some people believe that the two creatures are actually the same due to these minor differences. But other than the cockatrice, there's also the and per, not, and pardon my pronunciation, but there's the Codrille, which is basically a basilisk-like creature told in French mythology. These are basically basilisks that are more dragon-like, as they are bigger, they have a deadlier poison, and their bodies are overall dragon-like, including like their main bodies, wings, tails, and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, and pardon my pronunciation more, but there's also the Basilisco Chiolte from Chile's, uh, Gye-Lyong, a Korean basculin like dragon, and the crowing crested cobras. These are cobra like basilisks that are told in East African folklores and West Indies areas. Now, We talked a good bit about the Basilisk, but I also mentioned about how they are dragon-like, with the features and the abilities, and some of its cousins, and so on. So, this is where I gotta ask you guys. Could this mean that the Basilisk might be a type of dragon? Well, you can kinda say yes, but also no. Let's see. In mythologies, basilisks aren't technically a full-fledged dragon. However, they do share characteristics of dragons, whether it be the body parts like the wings, or in one description of the medieval bestiary, having the tail of one, which there's like a description of one, like I mentioned before, or them sharing the abilities of breathing fire and flying. And also, on a further note, dragons are described as a type of serpent, which is related to the basilisk and its cousins. Also, remember the cousins that I mentioned, like the Codrille, as it becomes more dragon-like despite it being a type of basilisk? Well, with all of these facts, you could say that the basilisks and their cousins could be considered pastual dragons, or false dragons. By the way, if I say that word wrong, pastuo, please don't mind me. I always have a rough time pronouncing that word. But anyways, back to it. False dragons are type of creatures that aren't fully dragons, but are related to them. A perfect example is that of the Wyverns. Wyverns, though they share so much dragon characteristics, they aren't true dragons in mythology. So it's safe to assume that basilisks will fall into the same category as well. Now then, basilisks happen to be one of the older mentioned mythical creatures in history, having their roots started back in Greece. However, their legends drive into the modern era, and basilisks are very popular creatures used in all kinds of medias. In the Harry Potter books, Harry had to fight and kill a basilisk, which is also the plot of the second movie, Chamber of Secrets. Those spoilers, by the way. There's another book called Dragonology, The Complete Books of Dragons, and this happens to be a book that I own as well. In this book, it tells that the Basilisk and the Cockatrice are a type of pseudo dragons. There's also a movie called Basilisk, the Serpent King. My bad. Anyways, in this movie, a basilisk came back to life and wreaked havoc upon people's lives by turning them into stone. In the Owl House, Luce ends up getting an adopted sister named Fee, who is actually a basilisk. By the way, that's a good show. You guys gotta totally check it out. And in One Piece at Impel Down, Luffy and Buggy had to go through a basilisk at level 2. Basilisks are also creatures in the series Overlord, with one being owned by Aura. In the game Witcher 3, you can fight one in the series story that appears kind of like more of Dragonoid, that's kind of like greenish with a rooster head. It's a very weird looking one. And finally, in D&D, basilisks are a type of monsters that are more appearing like the multi-leg type basilisks like I mentioned before. Anyways, in conclude, I can never speak right in these Creatures of the Week streams. I hope y'all don't get annoyed by that. Anyways, in conclusion, basilisks and their cousins have been feared creatures throughout the course of human history in Europe. They inspire both fear and power, where they range like kings and destroy anyone in their wake. So whether you come across the serpentine ones, rooster snake hybrid ones, or even the multi-leg ones, whatever you do, stay clear away and avoid their glazes. Otherwise, you might be picking up the daisies that are rotten away by their breaths. And with that, that includes the basilisk. So, I hope you guys were able to learn a lot about them. And tell me what you think about them. Do you think they're cool creatures? Would you like to have one as a pet? Would you want to keep your distance? Which I hope some of y'all would. Let me know in the YouTube comments and stuff. Anyways, that's pretty much it for now. And also, I gotta do a lot of stuff as well. So, with all that out of the way, thank you all for coming on this fantastic Creature of the Week stream. I hope y'all has much fun as I did as we got to learn about the Basilisk and their deadly ways. And if you wish to learn more about these, just check me out on my Twitch page. Also, check me out on Twitter and YouTube as well. And with that, I bid this show adieu and this class adjourn. So see you guys. So long. Bye. Okay, bye.